Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran. The pre-patch zombie undead invasion deaths rising event, which is the actual name for it, is finally here. And that means that the expansion of Shadowlands is actually going to be upon us very soon. I think in about 2 weeks now, which is super exciting, but it means that expansion is going to be here very soon. With every pre-patch event, Blizzard usually adds some other catch-up mechanisms for players coming back to the expansion that are trying to gear out the character to be prepared to tackle the new zones and the new level and experience of the next expansion. And with this update, we have ourselves the pre-patch event finally available. In this video, I want to go over everything the pre-patch event brings and all the different ways your characters that are fresh new level 50s can catch up with gear in Shadowlands, and just how good is this gear that will prepare you for the future expansion. So the first thing you'll want to do is head to your capital city, Orgrimmar or Stormwind, where you'll be able to start the questline to get into some of the festivities and activities over in Northrend, which is kind of cool. If you've enjoyed Wrath of Lich King, it's going to be awesome for many of you to revisit old zones and even fight old school bosses just in a reimagined way. For the Horde, eventually the quest line will take you to Crossroads. I'm not really sure exactly where it takes you for the Alliance. Maybe I'll mess around and try it out on some of the characters once I get them to max level. But it should take you into a short quest line that takes you not super far from the capital city, and then has you return after you find out about the threat that's coming to Azeroth. Doing this quest line will get you up and running with some of the commendations that you'll be able to earn in order to buy your catch-up gear, but also it'll get you some of the quest lines done in order to get you out in Northrend and get some dailies that you'll start being able to do over there. It might even be a good idea to set your Hearthstone near the Argent tournament grounds, because you'll be going there every single day on any of your ults in order to get some catch-up gear. Of course, you can do a lot of the grind kind of all day long if you want to, and maybe even get all your catch-up gear on day one. But if you're someone who doesn't have a lot of free time, set up your Hearthstone in the tournament grounds to get some of the dailies in here and some of the story stuff done is going to be a good idea. This week, the story achievements and story questline is going to have a very short one. Next week, we'll have a lot more expansion to the storyline over in Northrend. So this one shouldn't take too long of time, but the next week should be a little bit longer and should give you a lot more exposition in order to kind of connect the Shadowlands storyline and the end of BFA together. Now, I haven't seen this yet, but eventually ghouls are going to be appearing in capital cities. So if you're going to be seeing ghouls as a member of Alliance and Horde, you'll probably want to fight against them, unless you want to fight as the ghoul. Being infected by another ghoul or being infected by other creatures turns you into a ghoul, allowing you to spread this infection all over the game. So if you want to mess around as a ghoul in some of the capital cities, just go get infected and coordinate your results together with other ghouls, other infected, in order to spread this pandemic all across Azeroth, which I'm actually super excited to try this on stream. But there is a small quest line that you can do over in your tournament grounds that kind of gives you a little bit of a taste what this is going to feel like. After you complete this storyline, you'll start getting daily quests in the tournament grounds. So once a day on any of your characters, it might be a good idea to just log out here once you finish the quest. If you want to do something kind of a daily type of weekly, not something where you just want to sit there and grind until you get full gear head to toe. So you'll start getting daily quests that will start giving you the commendation, which you'll be able to trade in for toys, pets, as well as gear, which might be the first thing you might want to get for some of your characters, especially fresh new level 50s. Taking a look at the gear, it's actually quite decent. It's 100 item level from the vendor, which could be either the quartermaster over by the tournament grounds, but I believe there should be a vendor at each capital city as well, or at least the main one, Stormwind and Orgrimmar. You turn in the commendations in order to buy any slot of gear you want to. The head, shoulders, and chest pieces, however, will not be Azerite gear. I've done some sims, and it looks like there's only a slight difference between headpieces and lower item level Azerites. If you are playing BFA currently right now, and you do have your necklace set up, and you're trying to get essences, and maybe trying to get into some mythic pluses and maybe PvP, it might be a good idea to get a couple Azerite gear, even of lower item level from World Quest or something. But if you are someone who doesn't really want to do a lot of the gear grinding right now, and are simply just trying to gear up before the next expansion and are really looking to play in Shadowlands, not in BFA pre-patch, then this gear is actually going to be pretty decent to start with. It's going to be better than some of the quest rewards gear, and it's going to give you a nice leg up. And I wouldn't worry too much about Azerite gear at that point, because Azerites will be disabled once we travel into Shadowlands. The necklace is going to be disabled, so all these essences get disabled. And that secondary stats might actually be better for you as a character that's kind of first starting out. So it's going to be at least something for you to start at the very beginning. From there on, Icecrown is your playground, and Icecrown has a lot of things for you to do. One thing you can do is kill any undead mobs. A lot of the undead mobs have a chance to drop these different Shadowlands commendations. Some will be green, some will be blue. You can go back to the Quartermaster we talked about earlier. In order to turn those into the Quartermaster, and he gives you commendations. The blue ones at 25 stacks give you 3 commendations. The green ones at 25 stacks give you 1, but they're a lot easier to get. And what you can do outside of that is hanging around Icecrown, killing some of the bosses from ICC, as well as all the Wrath of Lich King dungeons that are being brought back to life. Anything from Professor Putricide to any other boss from some of the dungeons, and all of them drop, or have a chance to drop, gear. The gear on them is going to be an upscaled version of their dungeon gear, like trinkets from ICC, upscaled to item level 110. One of the rares even drops a 34 slot bag. I mean, once Shadowlands releases, we'll be able to get 34 slot bags pretty easily, but this will be your first chance to get a extra slots on bags early ahead of everybody else, if you get lucky. All these rares are on a spawn location, and there's even a link down below I can provide on Wowhead that shows exactly the coordinates as well as the timers on them. Now, it's a lot easier if you get some kind of an add-on in order to follow all these coordinates, but usually somebody in the general chat, or at least for today, has been able to link it with the new nifty tool that Blizzard added in Shadowlands, the map marker. So you can kind of add map locations and map pins for your character in order to track and see where everybody else is going. None of these bosses slash rares are really all that difficult, and you don't really need a full raid for them. A lot of them do have extra mechanics that are very Shadowlands inspired that will be kind of similar in the experiences like Torghast. But none of them should be super deadly where you are melting unless you are getting caught in some kind of a puddle of pool that's murdering you and there's a really bad lag going on. That's the only reason that I've died to these. But this is really cool as this opportunity for you to get not only the commendations, which go back to the Quartermaster, which gives you all those commendations for the Argent Dawn, but also it gives you chances at gear from things like trinkets, which I think upscaled versions of some of those trinkets could potentially be something fun and broken to play with. And of course we have Nathanos in the Eastern Plaguelands. Now this guy is actually quite tough, and the amount of damage you could do is actually quite a lot. You can do him as a raid, however, you also can dodge a lot of the mechanics. With some smart positionals and smart play, even my Orc Warrior that I got to level 50 for the sake of Garen Heritage Armor, but this character has 0 gear whatsoever, was able to survive him quite handily, as long as I didn't take any kind of aggro or didn't stand in the green puddles for too long. Plus, with all the AoE healing a lot of classes can do, I mean, there's just a lot of passive healing that goes on, which should mean that you are most likely going to be just fine if you try soloing him. Of course, being at range is a lot easier, so be careful. Nathanos has a world quest with him, very similar to how rares are, so it's implied that maybe he has something for you once a week. So for 2 weeks, you'll be able to maybe get 2 pieces of weapons from him. Blizzard has hotfixed him, so you should always be giving you weapons based on your spec. So even as a Fury Warrior, I was going at him, and the game at one point told me that I had a one-hander I could get from him instead of dropping me a two-hander, which worked out even better because I can use that two-hander for both Fury as well as arms. It's also told that killing Nathanos will give you a cinematic to enjoy, but I never got one when I did this questline, so maybe you'll be luckier than me, or you can always check on YouTube to see what that cinematic was. But I think it's a nice fitting conclusion to the guy. He doesn't fall over nearly as easily, which I kind of like. It just doesn't push over, and he can wipe out full raids if people are playing dumb about it. So I kind of like the small balance that Blizzard added here to it. I like the rewards for it, so definitely, since there's no catch-up weapons gear to get from the Argent Tournament Quartermaster, definitely do Nathanos on any of the alts that are lacking in gear. And that's going to be everything we have to take a look at today. Enjoy your time in Icecrown and re-exploring the old school zone with some new activities, especially for your alts that are lacking in gear. This gear is going to be helpful when it comes to leveling in Shadowlands, and especially grab that Nathanos weapon and enjoy the cutscene. Thank you guys so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts about this video. Hopefully you find it helpful, and I'll see all of you in the next one.